Welcome back to another video. Now, I was reading through some comments on one of my previous videos and I came across this one which read, "Why do we need to study? We don't get anything out of it." And that got me thinking, well, why do we study? Why do people study? And as I thought about it, I realized there are two very distinct reasons why people study. Some study because they have to, because there's something in it for them. They will gain something from studying. Others study because they want to, because there is something within them that drives them to learn. So the first reason is what we call extrinsic motivation. This comes from outside of us. It is an external source of motivation. So these are things like grades, money, prizes, trophies, status, recognition, things like that. Now, many of you watching still be at school or university, and your extrinsic motivation might be getting good grades or passing exams. Maybe you want a job. Maybe you want to earn lots of money. All of these things are great. And if you can find a way to link learning to those things, then you will be more motivated to study. However, the problem with extrinsic motivation is that it is not always consistent. You see, when we study, we need motivation to push us along. We need the drive and desire to learn. And if our motivation levels drop, well, we stop studying. So if we're studying just for grades, then when we get a bad grade, we feel really demotivated. When we put all of that effort into something and it doesn't pay off, well, it's very easy to just give up, isn't it? But this is where intrinsic motivation comes in. This is the motivation that comes from within us. It is driven by curiosity, by a desire to understand, by a love of learning. This is when we study simply because we want to. And this type of motivation is much more powerful than extrinsic motivation. When we are intrinsically motivated, we don't need prizes or trophies or even grades to spur us on. We just love learning. We love solving problems. We love expanding our knowledge. But you might be thinking, okay, I get that. But how do I use intrinsic motivation to help me study better? Well, let me give you a few tips. The first thing to do is ask yourself, why do I want to learn this? Or why do I want to study? Now, you may not have a specific reason, and that's okay. Just take some time to think about it. Maybe write it down. Maybe write it somewhere visible so that you can see it every day. And this is going to help you get into the right mindset for learning. Next, try to make your learning more relevant to your life. Try to see how the things you are learning in school or university are applicable to real-life situations. If you can see the relevance, you'll be more motivated to learn. Finally, focus on understanding rather than memorizing. When you're studying, try to make sense of what you're learning. Ask yourself, why does this rule or law or equation work the way it does? When we try to understand things, we're more likely to remember them in the long run. And that's the whole point of studying, isn't it? It's not just about passing exams. It's about accumulating knowledge that will help us throughout our lives. So to wrap this video up, let me say this. If you study for grades, for money, for external validation, then your motivation will only last as long as those things are relevant. If you get a bad grade, you'll lose motivation. But if you study because you love learning, because you're curious about the world around you, then your motivation will never fade. Of course, everyone needs a little bit of motivation from time to time. And there are other things that can help with that, like rewards and punishments. But ultimately, if you want to be successful in your studies, if you want to achieve your goals, then you need to find that intrinsic motivation, that love of learning that will drive you forward and help you succeed. I hope this video has been helpful. If you'd like to learn more about effective study strategies, check out the playlist in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.